So one of the things I didn't get to talk about was push versus pull. In traditional training, we will send associates to a training, they'll sit and they'll get information pushed at them. We'll sit them in front of a computer, an LMS, and they'll have that data pushed for them. Well, as a training professional, I know that a student is going to forget 98 to 95%, 95 to 98% of that information. It's all going to disappear. However, with our process, we create, it's almost like an Easter egg hunt where they have to go pull the information in, they have to go find the information. And that process is what cements the learning in their brain, because they have to go and find it. They have to go have a conversation with the expert, the engineering officer. I had to go down into the engine room and I had to go search all the pipes and trace all the oils. I had to go search and find that information. And then I had to go back and have a dialogue and conversation with that. So the learning got cemented in my brain. I had a district manager I was working with who had a new person on board, and the district manager was frustrated because the new girl didn't know what to do. Okay, I get that. So where's your roadmap? Where does that person need to go? And she didn't know. So with this process that we've created, creates that roadmap for you. And in order to get the map, the first thing you need to do is you have to identify who the person is in the role, right? What the role is. Hey, thanks for putting that there. That's great. Mm-hmm. Okay, what is the role? Identify who the job is and how that's going to be affected. Then you sit back and you look at that role and you go, okay, who's doing it right? Which of my employees are doing that role correctly? You also want to look at, okay, who is doing this role or who has done this role in the past? Somebody maybe that got promoted or moved on. They're also in the company. They also have valuable information because they see it from a whole nother perspective. They see how that role impacts other people. So they have a very valuable thing, a very valuable insight. So you identify the rock stars. You identify the role, then you identify who's doing it. The next thing you need to know is you have to identify who this role impacts. A salesperson may go out and sell an object or sell a process or a service, but there is an installation team involved with that. There is customer service involved with that. Who does that salesperson impact? Or you may have somebody in the warehouse that does a cycle count or does inventory. When they press send on that inventory, who does it affect? Who does it impact? You want to make sure you talk to them as well and get their information on what that person, that role needs and who they impact. The next is, what do I need to know? And I think this is an area where we struggle in corporate America, because we have all this tribal knowledge. We have all this information where people are, go talk to Bob. Bob will fill you in. Go talk to Carlos. Carlos knows this. But we don't have that collected in one area. We may have an operations manual that we've been working on for 3 years that's not finished. But the information is there. So what we need to do is we need to identify what are the things that we need to do, okay? Then we have to identify, where does this person get this information? That is critically important, because I may need to know how to do a cycle count. Okay, great. How do I learn how to do that? You go to the operations manual, this section, read about it. Now you know, you make that connection. And then the final piece is, how do you know? What's that confirmation of learning? Because there's so many managers out there that will send people out and send them off to do training, and then they come back, and then the sales manager is kind of like crossing their fingers, hoping that they know. You need to have that confirmation of learning of the process. So that confirmation of learning is, I think, the key element to this whole thing, because what it does is it gets that audible and visual verification. So going back to my example of going down in the engine room, the engineering officer knew that I knew what the process was, because he sat there with me. He watched me trace the pipes. He looked at my drawings and he asked me questions about those. And then I had a dialogue. So that engineering officer was confident in my ability and my knowledge of the fuel system, of the sewage system, of the processes, of how to turn the engines on, how to go from flank to all stop or whatever. So that is a critical process, and it's a very simple thing to do, and we don't do it well enough. We may send people out and go to a learning management class, go online, take this class, but we don't have that follow-up dialogue as managers and supervisors to have that discussion and to confirm that knowledge. That's the big process in the whole set.